The mahogany doors of the High Court in Lagos burst open. Every head turned as a man in a simple kaftan walked down the aisle, a man who was supposed to be dead. Emeka Okonkwo froze mid-sentence, his expensive lawyer's words dying in his throat. Tun dropped his phone. Blessing gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. The foreign investors waiting to sign the final property transfer sat in confused silence. "Good morning, brother," Chief Adebayo said calmly, his voice echoing through the courtroom. Behind him, Nurse Amara carried a folder thick with documents. "I believe you're selling something that doesn't belong to you." Emeka's face drained of color. "Adebayo, you're alive?" Disappointed? Chief Adebayo's eyes were cold as he approached the bench. "Did you really think abandoning me at that hospital would kill me? Or were you hoping the unpaid bills would finish what your sabotaged car couldn't?" The judge leaned forward, suddenly alert. "Mr. Okonkwo?" "The deceased Mr. Okonkwo." "Not quite deceased, Your Honor. And I have evidence that will shock this court." Hello guys, welcome to my Africantales. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your friends, and most important thing, turn your notification bell so you can get informed when I dropped another amazing story. Drop your thoughts and reactions in the comments. What would you do if your spouse tried to kill you and you survive? Will you take a revenge or disappear forever? The rain hammered against the windows of St. Nicholas Hospital in Lagos as Chief Adebayo Okonkwo lay motionless in the intensive care unit. Machines beeped rhythmically, the only sound confirming he was still alive. This was where it all began, the betrayal that would lead to that dramatic courtroom confrontation. Outside his room, his younger brother Emeka paced the corridor. Phone pressed his ear, his voice barely a whisper. "Yes, the lawyer is ready," Emeka hissed, glancing nervously toward the ICU. "The doctor says he might not wake up. Even if he does, brain damage is likely. We move tonight." Chief Adebayo had built an empire from nothing. From a small shop in Abilene to a property development company worth billions of naira, he had been the pride of the Okonkwo family. His sprawling mansion in Ikoyi, his fleet of luxury cars, his beachfront properties in Lekki, all symbols of decades of hard work and sacrifice. And now, as he lay unconscious, vultures circled. The accident had happened 3 weeks ago. Chief Adebayo's Mercedes had veered off the 3rd mainland bridge during a violent thunderstorm, plunging into the lagoon. Fishermen had pulled him from the wreckage, more dead than alive. The police called it an unfortunate accident. Bad weather, slippery roads, tragic but not suspicious. But the mechanic who had serviced the car just 2 days before the crash had disappeared without a trace. And the brake lines, according to one observant paramedic, looked suspiciously clean-cut. No one seemed interested in asking questions. Not when there was money to be made from silence. Emeka pushed open the ICU door. Chief Adebayo's 2 children stood by the window, Tun and Blessing. Their faces showed no grief, no tears, only the cold calculation of people counting their inheritance before the body was cold. Tun, 35, had always lived in his father's shadow. Every business venture he'd started had failed, and every failure had come with a lecture from the chief about discipline, hard work, and responsibility. The resentment had festered for years like an infected wound. Blessing, 32, had married a man her father called a Lagos boy. All flash, no substance. When Chief Adebayo refused to fund their lavish lifestyle, she cut off contact, nursing her anger in her modest flat in Surulere while watching her father's wealth grow on society pages. Now, seeing the great Chief Adebayo helpless, tubes running from his arms, face swollen from the accident, they saw not tragedy, but opportunity. "The bills are already over 3 million naira, Emeka announced, settling into a chair with theatrical concern. "The doctors say he needs at least 6 months of intensive care, maybe longer. We need to be practical about this." "What are you suggesting, Uncle?" Blessing asked, though her eyes already gleamed with understanding. Emeka leaned forward, lowering his voice even though the unconscious man couldn't hear. "We transfer everything into our names. For safekeeping, of course, to protect the family assets. And we find a more affordable facility for your father, perhaps the General Hospital in Mushin. That place is a death trap, Tun said, but there was no horror in his voice, only confirmation. Exactly, Emeka replied. We tried our best. No one could blame us, and the inheritance would be properly secured. Nurse Amara Okafor stood just outside the door, her hand trembling on the chart she carried. The young woman from Enugu had been working double shifts to pay for her medical degree, and she'd seen many things in Lagos hospitals. But this casual discussion of abandoning a man to die shocked her to her core. She'd been caring for Chief Adebayo since his arrival. While organizing his belongings, she'd found his letter journal, filled with handwritten plans, a free medical clinic in his hometown of Nui, scholarship program for orphans, detailed letters to his children expressing love despite their estrangement. One entry had made her cry. I have built wealth, but I fear I have failed at building a family. My children see me as a bank, not a father. Perhaps I was too hard on them. Perhaps I should have shown more love and less discipline. If I had another chance, I would tell them that all this, the houses, the cars, the money, means nothing compared to having them truly know me. This wasn't just another wealthy Lagos big man. This was a father who'd lost his way trying to teach his children the value of hard work. That night, Emeka arrived with a lawyer whose Mercedes was parked discreetly in the back lot. The man wore an expensive Ibada and asked no questions. He'd clearly done this before. Papers were signed in a private office. Chief Adebayo's properties were temporarily transferred for management and protection purposes. Bank accounts were made accessible to family representatives. By morning, an empire worth billions had changed hands with just a few signatures. The family paid exactly 1 week of hospital bills, the minimum to avoid immediate scrutiny. Then Emeka informed the hospital administration they were making arrangements to transfer the patient to family care in the village where he could be more comfortable. They never returned. Days turned into weeks. The hospital bills mounted. The administration sent messages, then warnings, then threats. Chief Adebayo was moved from the private ICU to a shared room in the general ward. His expensive silk pajamas were replaced with thin hospital gowns. The flowers that once filled his room wilted and were thrown away. Nurse Amara watched it all with growing anger. Her supervisor warned her not to get involved. This is Lagos, the older woman said wearily. Family betrays family every day. Focus on patients who can actually pay. But Amara couldn't let it go. One evening, she made a decision that would change everything. I'll cover his basic care, she told the administrator, offering a portion of her own salary, money she'd been saving to bring her younger siblings to Lagos for school. Her colleagues thought she'd lost her mind. Her mother, when she called home that night, begged her to reconsider. You're not Mother Teresa. Amara, you have your own future to think about. But something in Chief Adebayo's peaceful face, even unconscious, spoke to her. Maybe it was the journal entries. Maybe it was seeing a good man betrayed by those who should have loved him most. Maybe it was simply knowing that if she walked away, she'd become like everyone else in this city, hard calculating, indifferent to suffering. I can't abandon him, Mama, she whispered into the phone. I just can't. She didn't know that her compassion would set in motion a chain of events that would shake Lagos society to its core. That night, as Amara adjusted Chief Adebayo's for and checked his vital signs, his finger twitched, the first voluntary movement in 3 weeks. His eyelids fluttered. Somewhere in the darkness of his coma, Chief Adebayo Okonkwo was fighting his way back to consciousness. And when he woke up, nothing would ever be the same. The storm was far from over. In fact, it had just begun. Chief Adebayo's eyes opened to a world of confusion and pain. The ceiling was stained yellow, not the pristine white he remembered. The room smelled of disinfectant and sweat. Where was he? Why did his body feel like it had been crushed under a lorry? Chief, you're awake. A young woman's face appeared above him. Kind eyes, tired smile, nurse's uniform. He tried to speak, but his throat was desert dry. She lifted a cup of water to his lips. Easy, easy. You've been unconscious for 3 months. I'm Nurse Amara. You're at St. Nicholas Hospital. 3 months? Chief Adebayo's mind spun. The last thing he remembered was driving, rain, his car sliding, then nothing. My family, he croaked. Amar's expression changed. Something like pity mixed with anger. Let me get the doctor first. Over the next few days, as strength slowly returned to his body, Amar gently revealed the truth. His family had visited once, signed some papers, then vanished. The hospital bills were unpaid. He'd been moved to the charity ward. If not for Amar's personal sacrifice, he would have been discharged to the street weeks ago. Where are my children? My brother Emeka? Amara showed him her phone, a social media post from just 2 days ago. There was Emeka at the grand opening of Okonkwo Luxury Estates, cutting a ribbon in front of Chief Adebayo's flagship property in Lekki. Ton stood beside him, grinning. Blessing wore an expensive gown, champagne glass raised in celebration. The caption read, "Honoring our late brother's legacy by taking his vision forward. Rest in peace, Chief Adebayo Okonkwo." Late, they declared him dead. Chief Adebayo stared at the screen, emotions warring inside him, shock, betrayal, rage. But underneath it all, a cold clarity began to form. "They think I'm dead," he said quietly. "The hospital never confirmed it, but they spread the rumor," Amara explained. I think they wanted you to die here, sir, alone and forgotten." Chief Adebayo looked at this young nurse who had sacrificed her own money to keep him alive, a stranger who'd shown more loyalty than his own blood. "Why?" he asked simply. "Why did you help me?" Amara hesitated, then pulled out his leather journal from a drawer. "I read this. I hope you don't mind. But I saw who you really were. And I couldn't let a good man die because his family were vultures." Tears stung Chief Adebayo's eyes. The first tears he'd shed in decades. Not for his stolen wealth, not for the betrayal, but because a poor nurse from Enugu had seen his heart when his own children never had. "Thank you," he whispered. "You saved my life." "Now we need to save your legacy," Amara said firmly. "But first, you need to recover your strength. And we need a plan." Chief Adebayo nodded slowly. His body was weak, but his mind was sharpening like a blade. He'd built an empire once from nothing. He could do it again. But this time, he'd also built a case for fraud that his family would never see coming. "Amara," he said, "how would you like to go to medical school?" "Full scholarship. Because when this is over, you're going to be family." The nurse smiled through her tears. "Let's get you walking first, Chief. Then we'll plan our revenge." But it wouldn't be revenge. Chief Adebayo thought his exhaustion pulled him back toward sleep. It would be justice. And it was going to be biblical. 2 months later, Chief Adebayo was walking with Cain, his body slowly remembering its strength. But he remained officially dead to the world outside the hospital. Amara had moved him to her small one-bedroom apartment in Yaba after he was discharged. Her neighbors thought he was her uncle from the village recovering from illness. No one suspected the dead billionaire was sleeping on a thin mattress in a cramped Lagos flat, planning his resurrection. Every morning, while Amara worked her hospital shifts, Chief Adebayo worked his investigation. His hands, once accustomed to signing million-naira deals, now typed slowly on Amara's old laptop, gathering evidence of his family's betrayal. He started with public records. Using a fake email account, he requested property transfer documents from the land registry. What he found made his blood boil. Emeka had transferred all 17 of his properties into a family trust, with himself as sole trustee. The transfer documents were dated 2 days after the accident, signed with a forged version of Chief Adebayo's signature. The notary who'd witnessed the signature was Emeka's former roommate from university. Next, he investigated his bank accounts. Using old security questions only he would know, he accessed the statements. Over 12 million naira had been withdrawn in the first month alone. Luxury cars for Ton, a new house in Lekki Phase 1 for Blessing, expensive trips to Dubai for Emeka. They were spending his money like water while telling the world they were preserving his legacy. But the worst discovery came when he hacked into Emeka's email. His brother had never been good with passwords, still using their mother's maiden name. There he found the smoking gun, emails to the mechanic who'd service his car. Make sure the brakes fail on the bridge. Make it look like an accident. 2 million naira on completion. Chief Adebayo read the words 3 times, his hands shaking. His own brother had tried to murder him. "Chief, are you okay?" Amara had returned early from her shift to find him staring at the screen. Face pale, he showed her the email. Her hand flew to her mouth. "We need to go to the police right now." "No," Chief Adebayo said firmly. "The police can be bought in Lagos. You know this. If we go to them now, Emeka will know I'm alive. He'll destroy evidence, bribe officials, maybe even try to finish the job." "Then what do we do?" Chief Adebayo smiled grimly. "We let him think he's won. Let him get comfortable. Let him make mistakes. And we gather every single piece of evidence until the case is airtight." For the next 2 months, they worked like detectives. Amara used her hospital connections to get the police report on his accident, conveniently filed as accidental, no foul play. They tracked down the fisherman who'd pulled him from the lagoon. One remembered seeing another car speed away after the crash. Chief Adebayo's old driver, Joseph, still loyal after 20 years of service, had been fired by Emeka. When they contacted him secretly, he wept with joy to hear his boss was alive and revealed more damning information. He'd overheard Emeka and Tun discussing the accident days before it happened. "They said you were too stubborn to retire, sir, that you would never hand over control. So they decided to take it." Piece by piece, the puzzle came together. Phone records, bank transfers, forged documents, witness statements. Chief Adebayo compiled everything in a folder that grew thicker each day. But he needed one more thing. He needed Emeka to incriminate himself in a way that couldn't be denied or bribed away. He needed his brother to confess to the world. The opportunity came when Amara showed him a society magazine. Emeka had scheduled a massive deal, selling Chief Adebayo's crown jewel property, the Okonkwo Towers in Victoria Island, to a consortium of Chinese investors for 800 million naira. The signing ceremony was set for the Lagos High Court in 2 weeks, with prominent judges and government officials attending. Emeka wanted the legitimacy of a public, legal transaction. "That's when we strike," Chief Adebayo said, his eyes burning with purpose. "In front of everyone. In a place where he can't run, can't hide, can't bribe his way out." Amara looked worried. "Chief, these are dangerous people. What if they try to hurt you again?" Chief Adebayo placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Then I'll die knowing I fought back. But I won't die quietly in a hospital bed while they celebrate on my grave. I won't give them that satisfaction." He picked up his phone and called the one person he knew he could still trust, his old friend and former classmate, Justice Adewale Ogun, now a high court judge known for his incorruptibility. "Adewale? Yes, it's me. No, I'm not dead. And I need your help to prove it." The judge's shock turned to anger as Chief Adebayo explained everything. "I'll make sure I'm assigned to that case, old friend. And I'll make sure the media is there. They want a public ceremony? We'll give them one they'll never forget." As Chief Adebayo ended the call, he felt something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. Amara brewed tea. The cheap kind from the corner shop. Nothing like the premium blends he once drank. But it tasted sweeter than anything in his memory. "After this is over," he said, "I'm building that clinic, the one for my journal. And you'll run it, Dr. Amara." She laughed. "I haven't finished medical school yet." "You will. I'll make sure of it." They sat in comfortable silence. This unlikely pair, a fallen billionaire and a struggling nurse, planning the downfall of those who thought they could bury him. Chief Adebayo looked at the folder of evidence on the table. His family had taken everything from him. Soon, they'd learn that some men don't stay buried. The day of reckoning arrived with typical Lagos fanfare. Outside the High Court, expensive cars lined the street. Range Rovers, Mercedes, BMWs. Society photographers captured every arrival. This wasn't just a property deal. It was a social event. Emeka had made sure of that. Inside, the courtroom was packed. The Chinese investors sat in the front row, their translator ready. Government officials lounged in their agbatas, already calculating their consultation fees. Journalists from Punch, Vanguard, and even BBC Africa had been invited to document Emeka's triumph. Emeka himself wore a custom-made Navy suit that cost more than most Lagosians earned in a year. Tund and Blessing flanked him, dressed like they were attending a coronation. This was their moment of legitimacy. The day they transformed from thieves into legal heirs in the public eye. Today, Emeka announced at courtroom, his voice booming with false emotion. We honor my late brother's vision by securing the future of Okonkwo Enterprises. He would be proud. Blessing dabbed at dry eyes with a handkerchief. Tun nodded solemnly. The performance was Oscar-worthy. Justice Ogun entered, and everyone stood. The judge's face revealed nothing, but his eyes swept the room with unusual intensity. We are here for the transfer of Okonkwo Towers to the Beijing Lagos Development Corporation, the judge announced. Before we proceed, are there any objections? Emeka's lawyer, a slick man named Barrister Williams, smiled confidently. No objections, Your Honor. All documentation is in order. The property rightfully belongs to the Okonkwo Family Trust, and we have unanimous agreement to sell. Unanimous? Justice Ogun raised an eyebrow. Have all interested parties been consulted? My brother is deceased, Your Honor, Emeka said smoothly. There are no other interested parties. Is that so? The mahogany doors at the back of the courtroom burst open. Every head turned. Cameras flashed. Someone gasped. Chief Adebayo Okonkwo walked down the aisle, leaning on his cane but moving with unmistakable authority. Behind him, Nurse Amara carried a thick folder. Behind her, Joseph the driver and 3 other witnesses. The courtroom erupted. Journalists lunged forward with cameras. The Chinese investors looked confused, their translator frantically explaining. But all eyes were on the Okonkwo family. Emeka's face drained of color, transforming from rich brown to ashen gray. He gripped the table for support. Tun's mouth hung open like a fish gasping for air. Blessing actually screamed, a short, sharp sound of pure terror. Good morning, brother, Chief Adebayo said, his voice cutting to the chaos like a knife. I believe you're selling something that doesn't belong to you. Adebayo. Emeka's voice was barely a whisper. You're alive? Disappointed? Chief Adebayo stopped directly in front of his brother. Did you really think abandoning me at that hospital would kill me? Or were you hoping the unpaid bills would finish what your sabotaged car couldn't? The courtroom exploded again. Journalists shouted questions. Justice Ogun banged his gavel repeatedly. Order. Order in this court. When silence finally fell, Chief Adebayo turned to the judge. Your Honor, I am Chief Adebayo Okonkwo, very much alive as you can see. And I have evidence that these people, he gestured at his family, attempted to murder me, forged legal documents to steal my properties, and have been defrauding investors for months. Barrister Williams jumped up. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. We need time to verify. Verify what? Chief Adebayo cut him off. Verify that I'm alive? Here's my fingerprint. He pressed his thumb on the judge's desk. Here's my national ID. Here's my DNA if you need it. But more importantly, here's proof of everything they've done. Amara stepped forward and handed the folder to the court clerk. Justice Ogun opened it, and his expression grew darker with each page. Your Honor, Chief Adebayo continued, that folder contains forged property transfer documents with signatures that don't match mine. We have forensic analysis. It contains email evidence of conspiracy to commit murder, including payment to a mechanic to sabotage my vehicle. It contains bank records showing millions of naira stolen from my accounts. It contains witness statements from hospital staff about how my family abandoned me and spread rumors of my death. He turned to face Emeka directly. You wanted me dead, brother. Why? Because I wouldn't retire? Because I wouldn't hand you an empire you never worked to build. Emeka's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. His expensive lawyer had gone pale, realizing he'd been involved in fraud. Tun finally found his voice. Father, we thought you were going to die anyway. We were just protecting. Protecting what? Your inheritance. Chief Adebayo's voice cracked with emotion. I would have given you everything eventually. All you had to do was be my children. Love me, care for me. Instead, you tried to murder me and dance on my grave. Blessing began to cry, real tears this time. Daddy, we're sorry. Uncle Emeka said. Don't blame me. Emeka suddenly roared, his composure finally cracking. You wanted this too. You both hated him as much as I did, always lecturing us, always disappointed, never satisfied with anything we did. The courtroom fell silent. Emeka realized too late what he'd admitted. Justice Ogun leaned forward. Mr. Emeka Okonkwo, did you just confess a conspiracy? Emeka's face crumbled. His lawyer grabbed his arm, whispering frantically to shut up, but the damage was done. Your Honor, Chief Adebayo said quietly, I'm not just here to stop a fraudulent sale. I'm here to press charges for attempted murder, fraud, forgery, and theft. I want justice. Justice Ogun nodded gravely. Bailiff, please detain Mr. Emeka Okonkwo, Mr. Tun Okonkwo, and Mrs. Blessing Adelik pending investigation. Barrister Williams, you'll be investigated for your role in this fraud. As police officers entered to make arrests, Emeka lunged at his brother. You should have died. You should have stayed dead. Officers restrained him as he screamed. Tun went quietly, head bowed in shame. Blessing collapsed, still crying. As female officers helped her up, the Chinese investor stood and left without a word, their translator bowing apologetically to the judge. The deal was dead, as his family was led away in handcuffs. Chief Adebayo felt no triumph, only a deep, aching sadness. He'd wanted family. Instead, he'd raised vipers. Amara touched his arm gently. Are you all right, Chief? He looked at this young woman who'd saved his life, expecting nothing in return. Then at Joseph, weeping with joy that his boss had survived. At the hospital staff, who'd come to testify despite no payment. I'm better than all right, he said softly. I just learned who my real family is. 6 months after the trial, Chief Adebayo stood in front of a gleaming new building in Nui and Namber State. The sign above the entrance read, Okonkwo Free Medical Center, where everyone is family. The clinic had 40 beds, modern equipment, and a staff of 20 doctors and nurses. Every patient was treated regardless of ability to pay. Medical students from poor families received scholarships. It was everything he'd written in his journal and more. Beside him, Dr. Amara Okafor. She just passed her final medical exams with honors, cut the ribbon to thunderous applause. The trial had been swift and damning. Emeka received 12 years for attempted murder and fraud. Tun got 8 years as an accessory. Blessing, who cooperated with prosecutors and shown genuine remorse, received 5 years probation and community service at a women's shelter. All his properties had been returned. But Chief Adebayo no longer cared about empires. He'd sold half his holdings and donated the proceeds to build schools, clinics, and orphanages across southeastern Nigeria. The remaining properties were placed in a legitimate trust, managed by independent professionals, with Amara as the primary beneficiary. She'd tried to refuse, but he was adamant. You gave me life when I had nothing, he'd told her. You're the daughter I should have raised. Today, as he watched poor villagers line up for free medical treatment, Chief Adebayo felt something he hadn't felt in decades. Peace. Joseph, reinstated as his driver with double salary, approached with a letter. This came for you, sir, from the prison. It was from Tun. Chief Adebayo opened it carefully. Father, I know you may never forgive me. I don't forgive myself. Prison has given me time to think about who I became: greedy, entitled, ungrateful. You tried to teach me the value of hard work, but I only heard criticism. You tried to show me integrity, but I only saw obstacles to wealth. I'm sorry I tried to kill you. I'm sorry I wasted the love you tried to give. If I ever get out, I want to volunteer at your clinic. Not for redemption. I don't deserve that. But to finally learn what you tried to teach me. That true wealth isn't money. It's the lives you touch. Your son, Tun. Tears blurred Chief Adebayo's vision. He folded the letter carefully and put it in his pocket. Will you write back? Amara asked gently. Yes, he said, because that's what family does. Real family. They don't give up on each other. That evening, they held a small celebration at the clinic. Local chiefs attended, along with hospital staff, grateful patients, and even the fishermen who pulled Chief Adebayo from the lagoon, each given jobs as clinic security guards. As the sun set over Nui, painting the sky orange and purple, Chief Adebayo raised his glass of palm wine. I want to thank everyone here, he began, his voice carrying across the courtyard. Months ago, I almost died, not just from an accident, but from loneliness. I'd built wealth, but failed at building love. I had children, but no family. He looked at Amara. Then this stubborn nurse refused to let me die. She sacrificed her savings, her comfort, her safety to keep a stranger alive. She taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about who stands beside you when you have nothing, who sees your worth when you're worthless in the world's eyes. Chief, Amara's eyes filled with tears. Let me finish, he said gently. I've rewritten my will. Amara gets the medical center and the resources to expand it. Tund and Blessing get trust funds, modest ones, if they complete rehabilitation programs and 5 years of community service. Emeka gets nothing. But more importantly, I'm leaving behind a legacy of healing, not just wealth. He raised his glass higher. To family, not the one we're born with, but the one we choose. To second chances. To forgiveness when earned. And to remembering that the measure of a man isn't his bank account, but the number of lives he improves. To family, everyone chorused. As the celebration continued, Chief Adebayo noticed a young boy watching from the clinic entrance, one of the scholarship students, an orphan from a nearby village. The boy's eyes were wide with wonder at the festivities. Chief Adebayo walked over and knelt beside him. What's your name? Chikwudi, sir, the boy whispered. Are you hungry, Chikwudi? Come, join us. But, sir, I'm nobody, just an orphan. Chief Adebayo smiled and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. My dear child, in this place, everyone is somebody. That's what family means. He led the boy to the celebration, introducing him to everyone, making sure he got food and felt welcome. And as he watched Chikwidi's face light up with joy, Chief Adebayo understood the true meaning of wealth. Money could be stolen, properties could be taken, but the love you give, the lives you change, the compassion you show, those things can never be stolen. They're the only inheritance that truly matters. That night, as he lay in bed in his modest room at the clinic, no mansion, no luxury, just a simple space, Chief Adebayo slept better than he had in decades. He'd lost a fortune and gained everything. His biological family had betrayed him, but his chosen family had saved him. And in the end, that made all the difference.